In the vast reaches of the galaxy, Earth had always been seen as a small, unimportant planet. Its people were nothing more than a curiosity to the other species, a primitive race, barely capable of defending themselves. The galaxy's most powerful species had long known the power of their armies, fleets, and technology. Humanity, with its simple guns and outdated equipment, was nothing to fear, but they were wrong. It all started with a small human outpost on the edge of the galaxy. Earth's special forces had been stationed there, guarding a forgotten planet that no one cared about. It was supposed to be an easy job: keep watch, avoid conflict, and wait for the next assignment. But this time, something was different. One day, without warning, a fleet of alien ships appeared in the sky above the outpost. They came from an empire known for their terrifying weaponry and advanced technology. Their ships were sleek, silver, and filled with soldiers who had conquered hundreds of planets across the galaxy. They were there to eliminate Earth's military presence on this outpost, and they didn't expect any resistance. The outpost commander, General Laura Mitchell, watched as the alien ships descended, their engines glowing like fireballs in the dark sky. She had heard of the alien empire before. They were ruthless, quick, and deadly. Their soldiers were trained to be perfect, without weakness. They had destroyed entire planets, wiped out countless civilizations, and left no survivors. But something inside General Mitchell stirred as she looked up at the alien ships. She didn't fear them. She knew her team was ready. Humanity's special forces were not like any other army in the galaxy. They were not simply trained to fight. They were trained to survive. Every soldier in the special forces had been through the worst battles, fought through impossible odds, and faced death itself. They didn't just fight for Earth, they fought to protect their own. Mitchell turned to her team, a small but fierce group of soldiers. "Get ready," she said, her voice steady. "This isn't going to be like anything they've ever seen." The aliens landed, their troops disembarking in perfect formation. They moved with precision, like a well-oiled machine. They were used to victory. It was all they knew. But they didn't expect what happened next. As the aliens advanced, General Mitchell gave the order. The special forces sprang into action, but not in the way the aliens had imagined. Instead of meeting them head-on, the humans used the terrain to their advantage. The outpost was surrounded by dense forests and high cliffs, a perfect place for an ambush. The first shot rang out, sharp and quick, echoing through the trees. An alien soldier fell, his body hitting the ground with a sickening thud. The rest of the alien troops hesitated, unsure of where the attack was coming from. They tried to pinpoint the location of the humans, but the special forces had already melted into the shadows, using the environment as their weapon. The alien fleet commander, General Zorath, growled in frustration as he watched his soldiers fall one by one. This was not supposed to happen. Humanity's forces were nothing more than an annoyance, a small threat easily eliminated. But now, they were fighting like ghosts, slipping in and out of sight, striking fast, and disappearing before the aliens could retaliate. Zorath's frustration turned to anger. He called for reinforcements, but no help came. The alien forces had underestimated Earth's special forces, and now they were paying the price. As the battle raged on, Mitchell's team continued to pick off the invaders with deadly precision. The humans fought with a fury that the aliens had never seen before. Each soldier was trained to do whatever it took to win, even if it meant sacrificing their own lives. But the enemy had no idea what they were up against. General Zorath called for a retreat, ordering his forces to regroup and reassess. He had believed that Earth's military would crumble before their might, but now he was not so sure. These humans were more than just soldiers. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the aliens retreated, General Mitchell stood tall, watching them disappear into the sky. Her heart raced, but her mind was focused. This was just the beginning. She knew the galaxy had no idea what it was about to face. Humanity's special forces were ready to redefine what it meant to be feared, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not a race to be underestimated. The retreat of the alien forces left Earth's special forces victorious, but it wasn't over. General Zorath, the alien fleet commander, was already planning his next move. He could not allow a small human outpost to defeat him. This was more than just a battle. It was a warning to the galaxy. Back on Earth, General Laura Mitchell stood with her team in the command center, watching as the alien ships retreated into the blackness of space. They had won this battle, but Mitchell knew it wasn't the end. The aliens would be back, and next time, they would bring everything they had. "They'll come stronger next time," Mitchell said, turning to her second-in-command, Sergeant Mason. "And when they do, we'll be ready." Sergeant Mason nodded. "We always are, General. But do we really know what they've got? What if they're hiding something?" Mitchell's eyes narrowed. She had thought the same thing. The aliens' retreat seemed too easy. They had the upper hand in numbers, technology, and experience. Yet they ran. There had to be something more. "We need to learn everything we can about them," Mitchell said. "And fast." The next few days were spent gathering intel on the alien forces, analyzing their technology, and trying to understand what made them so formidable. The humans had fought hard, but they hadn't faced the full might of the alien fleet. The team knew the real fight was still ahead. Then, an unexpected discovery shook the command center. A transmission was intercepted from a deep space probe. The message was clear, though encrypted. "They are hiding a weapon that could destroy us all." The team was stunned. A weapon capable of wiping out Earth's forces in a single blow? The idea seemed impossible, but the more they analyzed the transmission, the more they realized it wasn't just a threat. It was a warning. Mitchell called a meeting with her top commanders. The room was filled with tension as she played the intercepted message. "This weapon, could it be real?" Colonel Harris asked, his voice low with concern. "It has to be," Mitchell replied. "The aliens have something we don't understand. And whatever it is, they've been hiding it for a reason. We need to find it before they use it against us," Sergeant Mason said. "We can't let them gain the upper hand." The team agreed. The search for the hidden weapon began immediately. Earth's special forces were spread across the globe, investigating alien technology, ancient ruins, and secret locations where the weapon might be kept. But as they searched, they discovered something even more disturbing. The aliens weren't just hiding a weapon. They were preparing to strike again, this time with force far greater than they had before. Alien ships were already moving toward Earth, faster than anyone had anticipated. The countdown to the next battle had begun, but the humans had one advantage: the element of surprise. Mitchell's team began to prepare for the worst, but they couldn't ignore the question that haunted them. What if the weapon was something they had never seen before? What if it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever experienced? The answer came sooner than they expected. One night, as Mitchell stood on the command center's balcony, looking out over the city below, a new transmission arrived, this time from a mysterious source. It was a human voice, but not one she recognized. "General Mitchell." The voice said, its tone calm but filled with urgency. "I know what the aliens are hiding, and if you don't act now, it will be too late." Mitchell's heart skipped a beat. She had no idea who was on the other end, but the message was clear. Someone knew something the humans didn't. "We're listening," Mitchell said, stepping closer to the communication console. "What do you know?" The voice responded, "The weapon they've been hiding isn't just a weapon. It's a force of nature. And if you don't stop them now, they'll use it to destroy Earth." The line went dead before she could ask any more questions. It left more answers than it gave, but Mitchell now knew the stakes had gotten higher. The galaxy's most terrifying weapon was closer than ever, and Earth was on the verge of its darkest hour. The next few hours were spent strategizing, preparing for the inevitable assault. The special forces would fight like they never had before, using everything they had. But there was still a dark cloud hanging over them. What was this weapon? And how could they defeat it before it was too late? The aliens were coming, and Earth's only hope lay in finding this hidden weapon before it was unleashed on them all. The days leading up to the alien fleet's second attack were filled with tension. General Laura Mitchell and her special forces were on high alert, knowing that this time, the battle would be unlike anything they had ever faced. Earth had won the first encounter, but the aliens were coming back with a vengeance, and their mysterious weapon was still out there, hidden somewhere in the depths of their fleet. "We need to move fast," Mitchell said, standing in front of a large map of the Earth's defenses. "The alien fleet is already en route, and we don't know how many ships are with them this time. They'll be looking for any weakness in our defenses. We can't afford to let them get close." Sergeant Mason paced around the command center, his face set with determination. We've trained for this. We've faced the worst of the galaxy. We'll fight like we always do, like Earth's future depends on it. And it does, Mitchell replied, her voice cold but filled with resolve. This time, we hit them first. The plan was simple but risky. The alien fleet was heading toward Earth's moon, likely preparing to launch an attack from orbit. The Special Forces would set up a surprise strike, using stealth technology to ambush the aliens before they could reach their target. But as the hours passed, the tension in the air grew. The alien ships were closer now, their massive shadows appearing on Earth radar screens. The entire planet held its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. It came suddenly. The first alien ship broke through Earth's atmosphere, its enormous form glowing like a dying star. The alien fleet had arrived, and they were ready to strike. Mitchell's forces were in position, but they had to wait for the perfect moment to make their move. As the alien ships approached the moon, Mitchell gave the order. Now! The Special Forces launched from their hidden bases, firing their weapons with deadly accuracy. The alien fleet, caught off guard, struggled to respond. Humanity's soldiers were swift and relentless, hitting their targets with precision. The aliens had expected to fight on their terms, but this was Earth's battle, and the humans were going to make sure the aliens knew it. But just as victory seemed within reach, something unexpected happened. The alien fleet commander, General Zoreth, activated a strange device on his flagship, a massive warship that hovered above the battlefield like a dark cloud. A wave of energy rippled through the space around them, causing the Special Forces' weapons to malfunction. Missiles that should have hit their targets veered off course, and lasers fired wildly into the void. What the hell is that? Sergeant Mason shouted, trying to regain control of his weapon. It's like some kind of field. Mitchell's heart sank. The alien fleet had unleashed a new weapon, a field of energy that interfered with their technology. It was a counterstrike they hadn't been prepared for. We need to get through that field, Mitchell said, gritting her teeth. Prepare for manual combat. Use everything we've got. With their tech disabled, the Special Forces had no choice but to fight with what they could. The battle became a brutal game of cat and mouse as the humans used every trick in the book, rappelling from cliffs, moving through the dark, and setting traps for the enemy. The aliens' superior weapons and numbers were no match for Earth's resourcefulness. But the longer the battle raged, the more it became clear that the aliens had one major advantage: their sheer firepower. Every time the humans made a move, the aliens retaliated with devastating force. The Special Forces began to lose ground, slowly pushed back by the relentless waves of alien soldiers. We can't hold them off forever, Colonel Harris said, his voice tight with concern. We need to end this now. Mitchell's mind raced. The hidden weapon, the one the aliens had been protecting so fiercely, could this be their last chance to strike? There was no time to waste. Mitchell made the call to take the battle to the enemy's flagship, where she believed the device was located. It was a dangerous move, but it was their only shot. We're going in, Mitchell ordered. All forces, follow me. We're hitting their flagship. The final assault began, and the Special Forces moved quickly, dodging alien fire and using every ounce of their training to stay alive. The closer they got to the flagship, the more intense the battle became. Aliens appeared from every corner, but the humans pressed on, knowing that their survival depended on this one mission. Finally, they reached the alien flagship's core. The energy field was strong, but Mitchell and her team had made it this far. As they breached the ship's control room, General Zoratha's voice boomed over the intercom. "You are fools," he said, his tone dripping with contempt. "You think you can stop us? The weapon is already activated. There is no escape." Mitchell's heart skipped a beat. The weapon was ready. But there was still one thing the aliens didn't know. The Special Forces had a trick up their sleeve as well. As the countdown to the weapon's activation began, Mitchell turned to Sergeant Mason. "We disable it. Now." With seconds to spare, Mason made his move, overriding the alien controls and shutting down the weapon's power source. The ship shuddered, and the energy field collapsed. The battle was far from over, but Earth's Special Forces had dealt a major blow. They had struck first, and the aliens now knew that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. But General Zorath was not done yet. He had one last card to play, And this time, the stakes would be even higher. The battle on the alien flagship was over, but Earth's victory fell hollow. General Laura Mitchell stood in the control room, staring at the now-disabled weapon that had nearly wiped them out. The energy field had been shut down, and the alien fleet had retreated. Barely. The humans had won this round, but something was wrong. The galaxy's deadliest empire wasn't known for retreating without a plan, and Mitchell could feel in her gut that this fight wasn't over. "General," Sergeant Mason said, his voice steady but laced with concern. "We won, but something's still off. The aliens aren't acting like they've lost." Mitchell turned to him. "I know. I feel it too. But right now, we need to regroup. We need to understand what they're really after." The Special Forces returned to Earth, and Mitchell's team began analyzing everything they had learned. The alien technology they captured was being studied carefully, but so far, nothing made sense. The energy field they had faced, something that could disrupt their weapons and shields, was unlike anything humanity had encountered. It was powerful, advanced, and seemingly limitless. But why had the aliens used it only in their retreat? And then there was the weapon, the one that had been deactivated at the last moment. It was a device capable of destroying entire cities, a force of unimaginable power. But there was something strange about it. The way the aliens guarded it, how it seemed like it wasn't just a weapon, but something much darker, something hidden. Mitchell called her top commanders into a briefing room, her face set with determination. "We need answers. The aliens aren't just attacking us, they are hiding something. There's more to this weapon than we thought. I want all of you to focus on that." Colonel Harris, who had been closely studying the alien tech, spoke first. "The weapon they are using is unlike anything we've seen before. It's not just about firepower, it's about control. It's almost as if it's alive, as if it responds to its environment, to the people around it." "Alive?" Sergeant Mason repeated, looking puzzled. "What are you saying, Colonel? The weapon can't be sentient." Harris shook his head. "I'm not saying it's sentient, but it's different. It doesn't just destroy, it manipulates. I've seen energy fields like this before, but not with this kind of force. It's almost like it's tapping into something darker." Mitchell's brow furrowed. "Darker?" "Think of it like this," Harris continued. "The weapon's not just a tool, it's a conduit. It's channeling something beyond technology, something ancient." The room fell silent. The idea of an ancient force hidden within the weapon sent a chill down Mitchell's spine. But if that was true, it meant the aliens were tapping into something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. "We need to find out what that something is," Mitchell said, "before they can use it against us again." As the team worked through the night, a breakthrough came in the form of an unexpected signal, something they had missed earlier. It was an old transmission, encrypted beyond anything they had dealt with before. But after hours of deciphering, they uncovered a disturbing truth. The alien fleet had been on a secret mission, one that predated their arrival at Earth. They hadn't come to conquer, they had come to awaken something. And this something was tied to the weapon. "It's not just a weapon, General," Mason said, his voice tense. "It's a key to unlocking an ancient force that could reshape the entire galaxy." Mitchell felt the weight of his words sink in. The aliens weren't just hiding a weapon. They were preparing to unleash a force so powerful, so ancient, that it could destroy everything in its path. And Earth was standing in its way. "We have to stop them," Mitchell said, her voice cold with resolve. "But we don't even know what we're dealing with." The team's search for answers led them to an abandoned alien facility deep in the mountains. It was old, older than any of the technology they had encountered before. It had been left untouched for centuries, until now. And something told Mitchell that whatever they found there would change everything. As they ventured inside, the air grew thick with tension. The facility was silent, its dark halls lined with alien symbols that seemed to pulse with an eerie light. The further they went, the more the feeling of dread intensified. The walls seemed to close in around them, and Mitchell couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Finally, they reached a chamber at the heart of the facility. At its center was a large, crystalline structure, glowing with an unnatural energy. It hummed softly, like a heartbeat. "This is it," Mitchell whispered. "This is what they were hiding." As the team moved closer, something stirred within the crystal. A dark energy pulsed from it, and the air around them seemed to grow colder. Mitchell could feel a pressure in her chest, like something ancient was awakening. The crystal wasn't just a weapon. It was alive. In an instant, the chamber erupted in chaos. The walls shook, and a blinding light flooded the room. Mitchell and her team barely managed to retreat as the crystal's energy surged, blasting the facility's doors wide open. "Get out! Now!" Mitchell shouted, pulling her team toward the exit. But it was too late. The alien force was awakening, and there was no turning back. The crystal was just the beginning. The aliens had found something far older than the galaxy itself, a force beyond comprehension, and they were about to unleash it on Earth. Mitchell's heart raced as she realized the true danger they faced. The battle for Earth was no longer just about defeating the alien fleet. It was about stopping something far darker from consuming everything they had fought for. And time was running out. The alien crystal pulsed in the depths of the hidden facility, sending ripples of dark energy through the air. General Laura Mitchell stood at the entrance, her mind racing. The alien force they had uncovered was not just a weapon. It was something far older, far more dangerous than anything they had imagined. It was alive, and it was awakening. "We need to move," Mitchell said, her voice urgent. "The longer we stay here, the more dangerous this place becomes." Her team was already on edge. The blast of energy from the crystal had nearly destroyed the facility, and as they scrambled to escape, Mitchell could feel the pressure building around them. It was as if the walls themselves were closing in, alive with the dark power the aliens had unearthed. As they made their way back to their transport, Mitchell's mind raced. What had the aliens discovered? What kind of ancient force was contained within that crystal? And why had they been so determined to bring it to the surface? The team's transport lifted off, leaving the facility behind in flames. But Mitchell couldn't shake the feeling that they had just uncovered the first layer of something much bigger. This was no longer just about defending Earth. It was about preventing the destruction of everything in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Mitchell ordered an immediate debrief. The team gathered in the command center, where the room was thick with tension. The crystal, now safely secured in the containment chamber, was being studied, but the results were confusing at best. "What do we know about the crystal?" Mitchell asked, turning to Colonel Harris, who had been in charge of the analysis. "It's not just a piece of technology," Harris replied, his voice grim. "It's a key. The energy coming from it isn't like anything we've seen. It's as if it's connected to something beyond our universe, something older than the galaxies themselves." Mitchell clenched her fists. "And the aliens want to unlock it." "Yes," Harris continued, "and we have reason to believe they've already begun the process." The realization hit Mitchell like a ton of bricks. The aliens weren't just trying to conquer Earth. They were trying to harness the power of this ancient force. They wanted to use it to reshape the galaxy in their image, to bend the very fabric of reality to their will. "That's why they've been hiding it," Sergeant Mason said, his voice low. "They know what it can do, and they are trying to use it against us." Mitchell nodded. "Then we have to stop them, no matter what it takes." But just as the plan was beginning to take shape, an unexpected transmission came through. General Mitchell, the voice on the other end crackled. It was a human voice, one she recognized. "You need to listen. The situation is worse than you think." Mitchell's heart skipped a beat. "Who is this?" "It's Colonel Price. You don't know me, but I'm on the inside. I've been working with the alien forces for months. I'm a defector." The room fell silent as Mitchell processed the words. A human defector working with the aliens? This was something they never expected. "Colonel Price," Mitchell said, her voice calm but filled with disbelief. "You're telling me you've been working with the aliens." "I know what you're thinking," Price continued, "but I'm not the enemy. What I'm telling you is this. The aliens are not after Earth because they want to conquer it. They are after something much bigger. And the crystal, it's not just a weapon. It's a key to something far worse." Mitchell's mind spun. "What are you talking about?" "The crystal is part of an ancient technology," Price explained. "But it's not just a device. It's a gateway, a portal to another dimension. And the aliens want to open it." Mitchell's stomach dropped. A portal to another dimension? The implications were terrifying. If the aliens opened that portal, they could unleash horrors beyond anything they could imagine. Entire world could be destroyed. The galaxy could be torn apart. I'm telling you this because I've seen what the aliens are planning. They don't just want to use a crystal. They want to open the portal. And if they succeed, they'll bring an army through it. An army that will destroy everything. Mitchell felt a chill run down her spine. She turned to her team. We need to stop them. Now. But just as she gave the order, something else happened. Another transmission came through, this time from the alien fleet. The message was simple, but its meaning was clear. We know you're coming. The betrayal hit like a lightning strike. Colonel Price wasn't just a defector. He was part of the aliens' plan all along. His information had been meant to lead them into a trap. The alien fleet had known about their mission all along. They had been one step ahead, watching their every move. The special forces had been played. And now, the alien fleet was ready to unleash the power of the crystal. The portal was about to open. Mitchell cursed under her breath. They had no time left. The battle they had fought so hard to win was now meaningless if they couldn't stop the portal from opening. Prepare for a counterattack, Mitchell said, her voice sharp with urgency. We're going in. Full assault. This time, we end this. As the team rallied for their final mission, Mitchell couldn't help but feel the weight of what was at stake. Earth's survival depended on stopping the alien from opening the portal. But they were running out of time, and the true enemy was just beginning to reveal itself. In this part, the tension rises as Mitchell and her team discover betrayal, with a human defector now revealed to be a key part of the alien plan. The portal to another dimension adds an extra layer of danger, and the plot thickens as the team races against time to stop the aliens before it's too late. Let me know your thoughts. Earth's special forces were in full mobilization, preparing for the most crucial mission of their lives. General Laura Mitchell stood in the command center, her gaze fixed on the screen that displayed the alien fleet approaching Earth's orbit. They were coming, and this time, they weren't going to hold back. The galaxy's most powerful force was on the brink of unleashing something unimaginable, something that could tear apart reality itself. General, Colonel Harris said, his voice filled with urgency, we confirmed the alien fleet is targeting a location just outside Earth's atmosphere. We don't know exactly what they are doing, but they are preparing for a full-scale assault. The portal's almost open. Mitchell clenched her fists. The crystal, now in the hands of the aliens, had already begun to resonate with a dark energy. The portal was almost within reach, and the aliens were about to bring an army through, a force that could wipe out entire civilizations. Where's Colonel Price? Mitchell asked, her voice cold. He's the one who gave us this intel. He knew we were coming. He's part of this. I've tried to reach him, General, Sergeant Mason replied, shaking his head. But the line's been cut. I think they've silenced him. Damn it, Mitchell muttered under her breath. The betrayal was more than she had expected, but there was no time to deal with it now. The mission had to come first. We're going in, no matter what. We can't afford to wait. As Mitchell prepared for the assault, she turned to her team. The atmosphere was thick with tension, but their resolve was unwavering. They knew what was at stake. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, depended on what happened next. Listen up, Mitchell said, her voice strong. This isn't just another fight. This is a final stand. The aliens are trying to tear open a portal that could bring horrors we can't even imagine into our world. They won't stop until they do. And we won't stop until we stop them. Sergeant Mason gave a firm nod. We're ready, General. The special forces boarded their ships, launching into the skies. The alien fleet was waiting. It hovered above Earth's atmosphere like a dark shadow, their ships lined up in perfect formation. They were prepared for the final phase of their mission. Mitchell and her team had no illusions. They were heading straight into the heart of the enemy. As they approached the alien fleet, Mitchell's heart pounded in her chest. The unknowns were overwhelming. They didn't fully understand what the portal would bring, but they knew they had to stop it. Earth had never faced a threat like this before, and its survival depended on the courage of a few brave soldiers. The fleet's defense systems activated as the special forces neared. Waves of alien ships rose to intercept them, their weapons blazing with deadly force. But Earth's soldiers were prepared. They weaved through the enemy's fire with practiced precision, launching missiles, firing laser weapons, and using every tool at their disposal. Stay focused. Mitchell shouted over the comms. Target the lead ships. Take them down first. The battle raged in space, a deadly dance of fire and metal. The aliens had the numbers, but the humans had the determination. Each shot fired by the aliens was met with a counterstrike from Earth's forces. The larger, more powerful alien ships began to fall, but it came at a cost. Earth's forces were losing ships, and the enemy was relentless. Then, as the fighting reached its peak, a sudden burst of energy illuminated the skies. The alien flagship, a massive ship unlike any Earth had ever seen, released a wave of energy so powerful that it shook the battlefield. The air seemed to distort around it as the portal began to open. "It's happening," Colonel Harris said, his voice strained. "They are opening the portal." Mitchell's heart raced. They had seconds to stop the alien flagship before the portal fully opened. If they failed now, nothing on Earth would survive the nightmare that would come through. "Team, prepare to board the flagship." Mitchell ordered. "This is it. We hit them now, or we lose everything." The special forces launched an assault on the flagship, their ships diving through the chaos of the battlefield. As they neared the massive warship, they could see it. Inside the heart of the flagship, the crystal glowed with an intense, pulsing energy. The portal's edges shimmered like a tear in reality itself. "We can't let them open it fully," Mitchell said, gripping her controls. "We're going in." The team landed on the flagship, storming through the hull as alien soldiers poured out to meet them. The battle was close, brutal, and personal. But the humans had one thing the aliens didn't, an unwavering will to survive. They pushed through wave after wave of alien forces, getting closer and closer to the central chamber where the crystal lay. The portal was nearly open, and the energy radiating from it was suffocating. Mitchell could feel the heat of the tear in reality, a force so immense that it threatened to consume everything in its path. "General," Mason called out from ahead, "the crystal is in sight. We're almost there." They burst into the chamber, and there it was, the crystal, glowing with a dark energy that seemed to pulse with life. The portal was wide open now, and some force from the other side, was beginning to push through. Shadows danced at the edges of the portal, creatures that looked like nightmares coming to life. "We have to destroy it," Mitchell said. "Now!" The team focused their fire on the crystal, aiming for its core. But before they could strike, a figure appeared in the doorway. Colonel Price, his eyes wild with madness. He had been behind everything. "You think you can stop it?" Price sneered. "This portal will change everything. The aliens will rule, and nothing can stop us." Mitchell's heart sank. Price had gone too far. He was too far gone. But there was no time to reason with him. "Price, step aside," Mitchell commanded. "You don't know what you're unleashing. We can stop this." But Price only laughed. "It's too late. The portal is already open. All I have to do is keep you from destroying it." Before Mitchell could react, Price lunged, firing at the crystal. The dark energy surged, and the portal grew wider. "No!" Mitchell screamed, rushing forward. She fired a final shot, aiming for the crystal's heart. There was a deafening explosion. The crystal shattered. The portal collapsed. Everything went silent. The explosion rocked the flagship, sending shockwaves through the ship's hull. For a moment, everything seemed to stand still. General Laura Mitchell staggered, her heart pounding in her chest as she blinked through the thick smoke and flashing lights. The crystal had shattered. The portal collapsed. The nightmare they had been fighting to prevent was over. But as the dust settled, there was no sense of relief. There was no joy, only silence, an eerie, oppressive quiet that filled the chamber. Mitchell's ears rang from the blast, and her hands trembled as she scanned the room. The crystal-shattered remnants were still glowing faintly, pulsing like the last heartbeat of a dying star. The portal, once a tear in reality itself, was now gone, but the strange energy lingered, thick and suffocating. She looked to her team, their faces grim as they took in the wreckage around them. The aliens had been pushed back for now, but at what cost? Mitchell knew they couldn't stay here. They had to leave before the alien fleet reorganized and came for them again. "Sergeant Mason," Mitchell said, her voice steady but strained. "Status report. Are the others ready to evac?" Mason glanced over at Colonel Harris, who was monitoring the ship's systems. "We've taken heavy losses, General," he said. "Some of our ships didn't make it out of the fight, and the alien fleet is in disarray. But they are still alive. They'll be back." "And Price?" Mitchell asked, her gaze cold. Sergeant Mason looked away, his voice low. "Dead. After he fired at the crystal, there was nothing left of him. We couldn't get to him in time." The weight of the betrayal hit Mitchell harder than she expected. Price had once been a part of their team, a colleague, a friend. To think that he had willingly sided with the aliens, unleashing a force that could have destroyed everything. It was hard to swallow. But there was no time for grief. "Not yet. We need to get out of here," Mitchell said, her eyes scanning the chamber. "Everyone, fall back to the landing bay. Now." The team moved swiftly, gathering their wounded and preparing to evacuate the ship. The battle had been brutal, and Earth had paid a heavy price. But they had succeeded. The portal was closed. The aliens had been defeated, or so they thought. As they made their way through the corridors of the flagship, Mitchell's mind raced. What had they truly stopped? The aliens' plans were far-reaching, and they had barely scratched the surface. She knew that even if the portal had been sealed, there was more to this war, more to the dark forces the aliens had been trying to unleash. Mitchell's communicator beeped, snapping her from her thoughts. "General, this is Command," came the voice of Colonel Harris. "We've been getting strange readings. The energy from the crystal, it's not gone. It's shifting." Mitchell's heart sank. "What do you mean, shifting?" "I don't know how to explain it, but the energy, it's like it's moving, spreading. Spreading." Mitchell repeated, her voice tight with dread. "What the hell does that mean?" "General," Harris said, his voice shaking, "I think we made a mistake. We didn't destroy the weapon. We only—" A sudden jolt cut him off, shaking the ship violently. Mitchell stumbled, grabbing onto a railing to steady herself. "What was that?" she demanded, her heart racing. "General." Harris's voice came through the comm again, filled with panic. "The alien fleet. They are retreating, but not because they are done. They've triggered something else, something worse. It's coming from the crystal. The energy, it's not over." Mitchell's stomach dropped. "What do you mean, not over?" Before Harris could respond, the ship's entire structure groaned, as though it was being twisted by an invisible hand. The walls flickered, and a deep rumble filled the air. The ship's lights went out, replaced by an eerie, unnatural glow. In the distance, she could hear the hum of the crystal's power, growing louder. And then it hit her. The crystal wasn't just a weapon. It wasn't just a key to a portal. It was a signal, a beacon. Something had been activated, and it wasn't just calling the aliens. It was calling something much older. Something far worse than any of them had imagined. "Get to the escape pods." Mitchell shouted, her voice sharp with urgency. "Now! Move out!" The team scrambled, but as they reached the ship's landing bay, they saw something that stopped them in their tracks. The alien fleet, what was left of it, had vanished. It wasn't retreating. It was gone, and something else was coming. Mitchell's eyes went wide as a massive, indescribable shape appeared in the distance, growing larger by the second. It was as if the very fabric of space itself was being warped, bent by a force beyond comprehension. The shape was vast, larger than anything they had ever seen. A shadow stretched across the sky, and as it grew closer, Mitchell could feel the atmosphere itself trembling. "Get on the pods. Now," she ordered, pushing her team forward. But as the escape pods launched, Mitchell knew in her gut that it was too late. They had awoken something. And whatever it wasn't going to stop until it consumed everything. The energy from the crystal had spread like a virus, infecting everything in its path. It was calling to something ancient, something that had been dormant for eons. And now it was awake. As the escape pods shot into the sky, Mitchell's mind raced. Had they really won? Or had they just unlocked a nightmare beyond their control? The escape pods shot through the atmosphere, leaving the wreckage of the alien flagship behind. General Laura Mitchell looked out the viewport, her eyes scanning the sky, but what she saw only deepened the pit in her stomach. The massive, incomprehensible shape she had seen before, the thing that had been summoned by the energy of the crystal, was still there, and it was growing larger by the second. "We're not out of the woods yet," Mitchell muttered under her breath. "This thing, it's coming." Inside the pod, the air was tense. Everyone was silent, their faces drawn with exhaustion, but their eyes wide with terror. The aliens had been driven back. The portal had been sealed. The fleet had been destroyed, or so they thought. But this new threat was far beyond anything they had ever encountered. "General," Sergeant Mason said, his voice shaky, "what is that thing? What are we up against?" Mitchell shook her head, her mind racing. "I don't know, Mason, but it's like the energy from a crystal. It didn't just go away. It's drawing something ancient, something that was never meant to be awakened." She looked at Colonel Harris, who had been quiet ever since the crystal destruction. His eyes were glued to his screen, scanning data that was coming through faster than they could process. "We're getting a transmission," Harris said suddenly, his voice strained. "It's encrypted, but it's coming from Earth's military command. They detected the same readings we saw on the flagship, and it's growing stronger." Mitchell's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean, stronger?" Harris's eyes widened. "It's like the whole planet is being affected. The energy isn't just coming from the flagship anymore. It's resonating through Earth's core. It's spreading. And whatever's coming, it's not just going to destroy us. It's going to reshape the entire planet." The pod shuddered as a shockwave from the distant entity caused turbulence. Mitchell gripped the armrests, bracing herself. In the distance, the shape in the sky had now become visible to the naked eye, an enormous, swirling mass of darkness and light, an almost organic structure, like an alien world in itself, with edges that flickered between solid matter and pure energy. "We're not going to outrun this thing," Mitchell said, her voice filled with grim realization. "We need to stop it, or everything we fought for, everything we sacrificed, it's for nothing." A loud crackle broke the silence. The comms buzzed, and the voice of General Thompson came through, sharp and urgent. "General Mitchell, do you copy?" "We copy," Mitchell replied quickly. "What's going on down there? What are we dealing with?" Thompson's voice trembled. "We've never seen anything like this. The energy readings are off the charts. It's not just a force. It's like the planet itself is being reconfigured, like it's being sucked into something from another dimension. We can't stop it." Mitchell's mind spun. "This thing, it's using the energy from the crystal to reshape Earth." "Yes," Thompson confirmed. "And the worst part? We've detected an anomaly. It's coming from the heart of the storm, an entity, something far beyond anything we've ever encountered. If it breaks through..." The transmission cut off, and Mitchell's heart sank. "General," Mason shouted, pointing at the viewport, "it's heading straight for Earth. We need to stop it, now." Mitchell's mind raced. The ship, the flagship, the crystal, everything was connected. The aliens had known about this for centuries, this force, this entity that they had been trying to awaken. And it wasn't just a weapon. It was a being, a cosmic force beyond comprehension, capable of bending the fabric of reality. "We can't fight this," Mitchell said, her voice tight with the weight of the truth. "We need to sever the connection, the crystal, the energy. We need to destroy the source." The escape pods accelerated as Mitchell and her team hurtled toward Earth's surface. The ground was rumbling beneath them, as if the very planet was shaking in fear. Far below, the energy from the alien crystal had begun to pulse through the atmosphere, blackening the sky, and the thing that had been awakened was drawing closer to the planet's surface. A massive whirlpool of energy churned in the sky, the air filled with a howling wind that seemed to scream with the fury of an ancient god. "Prepare yourselves," Mitchell said, gripping her seat. "This is our last chance. We either stop it here, or it's over for all of us." The escape pod descended, racing through the air as a storm of dark energy grew stronger, enveloping the Earth's atmosphere. As they neared the surface, Mitchell spotted a massive structure below, a remnant of the ancient alien facility they had found earlier. The same place they had uncovered the crystal. The beacon. It was still active. "Set the pods down here," Mitchell ordered. "We need to destroy the facility." It's the only way to stop this thing. The team landed swiftly and without hesitation. The storm above them raged, but the team rushed toward the ruins of the facility, their footsteps muffled by the eerie wind. "We have to get to the heart of the facility," Mitchell said. "That's where the crystal was, where the energy's coming from." The ground trembled beneath them as they entered the facility's core. It had been built with alien technology, vast and labyrinthine. The walls hummed with dark power, and the air was thick with the same energy they had felt aboard the alien flagship. And then they saw it, the heart of the facility, the crystal's remnants. The energy still radiated from it, though it was now warped and chaotic, bending the very fabric of reality. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a gateway, a doorway to a dimension that was never meant to touch their own. Mitchell moved forward, her voice unwavering. "We destroy this. We destroy the connection. We end this." She raised her weapon, targeting the center of the anomaly. But before she could fire, the ground shuddered violently. A roar, deafening and primal, echoed from above. The entity, the thing they had awakened, was here. A massive shadow descended, crashing through the facility's roof. A being of pure energy and darkness, with tendrils that reached out like cosmic claws, tearing through everything in its path. Its eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed with an intelligence that was both ancient and terrifying. But there was no fear in Mitchell's heart. "Not now. Fire!" she shouted. The team unleashed everything they had on the crystal's core, every weapon, every ounce of power. The energy screamed, thrashing violently, as the gateway began to collapse. The entity roared in fury, but it was too late. The explosion was blinding. And then there was silence. Epilogue. Earth's sky cleared, the darkness lifting like a fading nightmare. The storm was gone. The threat was over. General Laura Mitchell stood alone in the ruins of the alien facility, her breath coming in heavy gasps. The team had survived. They had stopped the force from tearing apart reality itself. Earth was safe, for now. But as she looked to the sky, she couldn't shake the feeling that the battle was far from over. The universe was vast, and there were forces far greater than anything they had encountered. Forces that had been watching, waiting, and now they knew Earth was no longer a planet to be underestimated. But for today, they had won.